Hello, my friends, and welcome to another mental health story time brought to you by the Children's Book Bank. My name is Lori, and I work for the Children's Book Bank, where I really like telling stories to kids like you. So I'm really glad to be here in your living room or kitchen or wherever you've decided to sit down and watch this video. December, we're going to talk very briefly about kindness. So most of the time when we think about kindness, we think about being nice to other people and how that makes them feel good. It makes us feel good. It helps us get along with other people to just be nice and polite and all that good stuff. But something that we don't always think about is being nice to yourself. Something that we call self-esteem. Learning to accept yourself as you are and be nice to yourself. So that's what we're going to talk about today and read about today. Because you in your life are going to have lots of friends, and you're going to try to be as nice to them as you can all the time. And you're going to have your family, and you're going to have teachers. There are lots of people in your life you're going to have relationships with, and some of them will be long and some will be short, but the relationship that you're going to have your whole life is your relationship with yourself. So it's important that you treat yourself like a friend. Be nice to yourself. So we are going to read two books, one very appropriately named, I Like Myself. It's just a celebration of having self-esteem. And this is Martha the Confident Mouse. And Martha sort of learns a way to be more confident in herself and have high self-esteem. So I think we'll do I Like Myself first. Gotta scooch over so you can see it. It's a big book. This is I Like Myself by Karen Beaumont and David Catrow. There she is. I like myself. I'm glad I'm me. There's no one else I'd rather be. I like my eyes, my ears, my nose. I like my fingers and my toes. Those are cool pictures. I think they're cooler than my pictures. I like me wild. I like me tame. I like me different and the same. Goodness, look at that big lion scared of that tiny girl. I like me fast, I like me slow. I like me everywhere I go. I like me on the inside too, for all I think and say and do. That one looks a little spooky, doesn't it? But it's just her skeleton and her dog's skeleton. Inside, outside, upside down, from head to toe and all around. I like it all. It all is me, and me is all I want to be. And I don't care in any way what someone else may think or say. I may be called a silly nut or crazy cuckoo bird. So what? I'm having too much fun, you see, for anything to bother me. I think I'd get in trouble if I tried to dance in a bird bath, but she's having fun. Even when I look a mess, I still don't like me any less, 'cause nothing in this world, can change what's deep inside. And so I love her hair in that. That's so fun. No matter if they stop and stare, no person, ever, anywhere, can make me feel that what they see is all there really is to me. Does this make you think of something? This makes me think of a couple of books that I've seen before. And all the rhyming in it. It all makes me think of Dr. Seuss books, which is pretty cool. I'd still like me with fleas or warts, or with a silly snout that snorts. There she is. or knobbly knees, or hippo hips, or purple polka-dotted lips. The dog is not impressed. Or beaver breath, or stinky toes, or horns protruding from my nose. Or yikes, with spikes all down my spine, or hair that's like a porcupine. I still would be the same, you see. I like myself because I'm me. And I like her because she's so nice to her dog, among other things. So that's a nice way of thinking about self-esteem. If you're having a bad day, if you feel like you didn't do such a great job today at maybe being a good friend or doing well in school or sports or, whatever's upsetting you that day that makes you feel bad about yourself, maybe it would be helpful to make a list of things that you do like about yourself that day, even if not all the time. You can say, well, I like my hair today, and I maybe wasn't so nice to my friend, but I was really nice to my mom. So, or, whoever, someone in your house. So that's something to think about. There's always, good days and bad days, and good things and bad things, but in the end, you're a good person on the inside. And it's important to remember that all the time if you're not feeling so good about yourself. So that was I Like Myself by Karen Beaumont and David Catrow. So fun, so happy. I like that book a lot. And now let's look at Martha the Confident Mouse. There she is. This one makes us think about sort of another way of having self-esteem, or of sort of keeping that, remembering to be good to yourself. This is Martha the Confident Mouse. Martha wasn't always a confident mouse. These things don't just happen overnight. This is the story of how it all began. Martha the mouse lived in a tree, way up in the branches where no one could see. High up in her loft, she watched and she dreamed of life down below in the rafters and beams. Inside the house. She was sure that they lived there, a family of mice, and to have friends to play with would be rather nice. It would be a big thrill, an adventure of sorts. For life was quite boring way up in her fort. In fact, it was lonely, as lonely can be, with no one to talk to alone in her tree. I think that picture's very funny. I thought I'd show you for a minute. Ah, so bored, so lonely. What's she going to do? Perhaps she'd convince them a tree fort was fun. She'd invite them to climb up the tree to the sun. There's that. Yes, tomorrow she'd go, no doubt about it. She was so excited she wanted to shout it. The next day arrived. Martha wanted to go, but fear gripped her tightly. It was hard not to show. What happened if when she arrived at the house, they'd shriek like a human who'd just seen a mouse? Maybe they'd think she was weird or bizarre, that she'd come on a spaceship from planets afar. Worries, oh worries, she pleaded and prayed. Please do me a favor and just go away. Like an idea that comes to you out of the blue, Martha thought for a moment, and then she just knew. She'd stuff those worries in a bag that she'd sew, seal it tight with a knot, and then with a bow. Do you think she's talking about really making a bag? Like stuffing worries in it? I think it's just all in her head. She'd made up her mind. She would go to these mice, ask them to play, and hope they'd be nice. She scampered down branches and onto the shingles, but her knees started shaking. She could feel her hands tingle. That house is pretty far down. Sweat beaded up on her forehead and nose. Worry was starting to well up and grow. But suddenly Martha remembered the knot. It tied up her worries, and that helped a lot. She took a deep breath and peered through a crack. The mice didn't see her. They were having a snack. "Hello?" she nervously squeaked to the group. They jumped in the air and turned in a loop. Oh dear, what's going to happen? The looks on their faces were ones of alarm, but slowly they smiled and held out their arms. "Welcome," they all chimed together with glee. "A new friend to play with. How fun this will be." Martha felt great, so happy inside. She'd taken a chance and her head filled with pride. She knew that her worries, no matter how large, could be managed quite nicely if she simply took charge. Tie them up tight in a bag with a knot, and don't give those worries another thought. And that's the end of my second story. I quite like that story because it makes us think about worries in a different way, and it's sort of related to self-esteem as well. So if you are really worried about making new friends somewhere or speaking up about something, you can maybe think about the thing that's worrying you and just put it in your, in your head off to the side. And just pretend it's not there for 1 second. And then go out there and see if you can do that thing that you're really worried about. And see how it goes. I bet you almost 100% of the time it's going to go much better than you were expecting. Because most people have those feelings of feeling maybe not good enough or feeling like, someone is going to say something not nice to them if they try to be friends. Most people feel that way a little bit. And it's not true. It's just not true. Most people really want to be friends with you. So that was Martha the Confident Mouse by Karen Lang. And the other book that we read was I Like Myself by Karen Beaumont and David Catrow. And I hope that in honor of our self-esteem story time, you do something nice for yourself today. Even if it's just in your head, thinking about how much you like yourself and why you like yourself. That's what I hope for you today. Thank you so much for listening to my rather short story time. I was happy to see you, and I'll see you next time, next Saturday.